Right, welcome everybody to this NatSpec and JISC webinar, which is introducing Maths Week Leap into Maths for 2016. Very quickly, there's two of us delivering today. That's me on the right hand side, on holiday last year. That's me, my name's Lisa, and on my left is Alison. Do you want to say hello,
hello
Alison?
everyone. Hi.
Alison is the ex-Chief Executive of NatSpec and is now the Policy Officer there. I'll just do a little bit of history. I'll go through that, Alison, if that's all right.
That's fine.
And then shall we just take turns on the different measurement things later on?
Yep.
Brilliant. And can I just say this will not be a long webinar. We do not expect it to be longer than 40 minutes because I know people are busy and they're on lunchtime and we think it's fantastic. We've got 74 people online. I am absolutely, utterly delighted. Right, we can shut it down now. Sorry. Okay. Last year was the first time we did a Maths Week, which came about due to a conversation between Alison and I. We had a wizard wheeze and came up and we did a competition. And last year we called it Making Maths Visible. And the competition was, we asked all the colleges and learning providers. If I say colleges, and I know we have a lot of independent learning providers and adult learning providers here, I do apologise, it is my fault, and I will try and remember to say providers, but it is a habit, which, and so I'm getting the apologies in early there. The competition last year asked all providers to survey their students on their favourite pizza toppings, and the competition was to represent the data in a creative way. And the one on the left shows a pie chart done in representing the different pizza flavours and the ratio of within the voting. And on the right hand side you can see Derwent College Horticulture Department did a great one and did a bar chart using plants. So we also did a lot of colleges did a lot of activities during Maths Week. And for example, the one on the left-hand side is one of the colleges where the Performing Arts Department were working on creating the Thriller video. And what they did is got the other students to vote on it, a little bit like Strictly. College in the middle had a huge campaign actually to highlight what was what they were doing within college, and then on the right we can see somebody doing some independent living skills, and in fact using a timer for their cooking there. Okay, so that was last year. So this year it starts on the 29th of February. Which is Leap Day. So hence the name Leap into Maths. And my very creative, innovative friend Alison there came up with that idea. I think it's brilliant. Go on, Alison, do you want to do this bit?
Yeah, so our theme for this year, we thought was something that was going to happen all over the place in all aspects of people's lives, which is about measurement. Something that you can use in independent living, in employment, in personal areas such as knowing your own height and weight. So we decided that measurement was something that all of you must be doing somewhere along the way with your students in one form or another. And we've identified, time, length, area, weight, size, and height. There's a whole pile more. And you'll all come up with other areas in which other ways in which you use measurement on sometimes a very specialist basis because it's to do with a very specific employment, vocational area, for example, but very often just on a day-to-day basis in your general conversation with students. And we really just wanted to use this opportunity to focus on that, to draw it out, to make sure that as and when you're using it, you're just really reminding students that that's what they're doing. It is a mathematical skill. Lisa, do you want to say any more about that general
No, that's a good introduction, I think. Okay. So, just to remind, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, but just a sort of quick, mathematical words and measuring words aren't necessarily long, complicated, the sort of thing people get terrified about maths, but ones like this. So, any other maths words that anybody would like to put in the chat pane, please do share with us. What other maths word have we not put in there? For example, estimation, fastest, slowest, yes, thank you. Very good, there's lots of others. Near, good, yes. Distance, yes. Oh, fantastic, brilliant. The whole point of this...
Gravity, sorry, I was going to say, now that we have gravity waves and we can measure black holes colliding billions of years ago, distance is really quite a novel but current measurement. And I think one of the things that I'm sure you're doing all the time is looking for opportunities in the news, current events, discoveries like that just make it more relevant to students and bring it to life because it's something very real.
Absolutely. Do you know, I knew you'd bring that in, Alison. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for these suggestions down here. Those are brilliant. What we'll do is I'll actually get the chat pane afterwards and we'll send it out to everybody who came with a list of the words and the sort of suggestions, and if anybody comes up with any links or ideas or whatever, we'll do it like that. So those are brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to talk about the different ways of different sort of measurements and the sort of things we do. Do you want to do weight, Alison?
Okay, yeah. I suppose one of the things that we want to get students thinking about is the conventional approaches to weighing, measuring, whatever, and the standard measurements that we use, like grams. Some people, I guess, may still be using pounds and ounces, but also trying to get them to think about what are the ways we measure things, what are the artifacts we might use to measure, and for some students, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Everything's just, oh there we go, sorry, it's come back. Sorry, everything just disappeared for a moment.
All right, okay.
For some students, they might want, you might be able to help them to explore in a little bit more depth. You know, why did we end up not using some of those random measurements like a span, but actually we turned it into something concrete and consistent? And I think there's a lot of research that might get done as people begin to explore a little bit more why it's better to have a consistent measure than it is to have some others, even though we want you to explore, and we'll come to this later on, what some of those alternatives are. So lots of opportunities for weighing ingredients if you're feeding animals on a daily basis, if you're obviously doing catering, or even if you're doing independent living cooking, then you've got lots of opportunities to weigh. And we'd like you to explore some different approaches to doing that. And of course, in America,
animals. Sorry, go on.
Sorry?
Go, carry on.
I was just going to say, for instance, in America, lots of recipes use cups, and there are lots of alternative ways of measuring, such as those little spoons. And you might want to just play around with some of those and show students how you don't have to have a sophisticated set of scales if it's just for home. You can do there are all sorts of alternatives that you can use.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about animals?
Animals. Well, I did go to one of the colleges here, actually. I think someone's at East Durham. I was at East Durham about 18 months ago, and they were actually weighing cattle because it's a land-based college, and they've got a full cattle crush and all the rest of it. So, you know, whatever the whole point about this program, this project, is to do what you do as a matter of course with your students, or a little bit extra, it's up to you. So it depends what it is you're teaching and what your students want to do. Right, shall we go on the next one, Alison?
Oh, hair colour. That's a nice one. Yes.
Oh, hair colour, yes.
Yep.
Length. So you could use centimetres or metres. Obviously, those of you who have got not horticulture, equestrian facilities may well be using hands. I'm actually 16'2" high. Feet. Why do we measure things in feet? Why is it called a foot? And if we look at the last year's Derwent College one, could you use plants? Width of a finger for centimetres. Excellent one there. So why do we use these units? Why is it, any ideas, why is a foot called a foot? So these are the sort of questions you can work with your students. American units are different. They also, and they're very much imperial still. Roman measurements, I don't even know what Roman measurements are, so that'd be great, Dave, if you can tell us what that is.
I'm sure there's something specific that you need for a toga.
I'm sure it is. I think that sounds great, actually. Length, that's I'd love to.
Oh,
so if you want to do something on that, please. The length of the monarch's foot was a foot.
The length of the monarch's foot. Okay.
Oh. That's a good reason to use it. A party to get, well, exactly, for a toga. Right, next one. Alison, do you want to
so again,
Steve, could we ask you to turn your video off? Sorry, I'll do that. Keep going, Alison.
Right. So again, time, and actually time is probably a really important area for students, because so much depends on things like getting to work on time, not taking too long at your break, knowing how much time to leave in order to get the bus, in order to get where you want to be. And I think it's a very everyday but important skill for students to have, even if, and somebody mentioned estimation earlier, even if it isn't about precisely knowing times, but having a sense of how long things are. So we put some things here. Some of you, maybe with small children, have used things like, oh, it's as long as 5 Thomas the Tank Engines or whatever was current when they were small, in order to give them a sense of how long something lasts. So we thought again that there could be, as well as the very conventional seconds and minutes and hours, other ways of working out how long something takes. How many episodes of EastEnders does it take to get from A to B? And why we've ended up using those. I think some of those things are very complicated, actually. Why has the year ended up having 12 variously lengthed months? Why do we have 7 days in a week? Why is the weekend 2 of those days? Why do we have a leap year? And obviously that's very pertinent to this year's theme of Leap into Maths. So all sorts of other ways to think about time, and to give students confidence about, as I say, knowing how long it takes to get from A to B, knowing how long they need to leave themselves in order to be at work on time. And yeah, somebody's saying the calendar, lots and lots of fun discussions about the calendar, because it doesn't really make an awful lot of sense until you start looking back at all those astronomical things that influence it. So, yep, that's me done on time.
Okay, some great stuff in the chat page. Shall I just go through these briefly, in case other people haven't managed to see them? Students struggle with, if you use decimal with years, very difficult to do. Tea breaks, as part of learning targets timing. That sounds great.
It is gin o'clock somewhere. Yes, it is midnight somewhere. Somebody say
that's true. I'd love the idea, Dave, with getting everyone to close their eyes and count to 100.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really good vocational use of time, like in hairdressing. You know, you don't want to leave something on somebody's head for too long, or the results could be disastrous.
Yeah, that's a really good care target there, Lisa. Thank you. Clean your teeth for the length of a song on the radio. I always used to use get students' favourite music, and if they wanted to do something for a length of time, obviously depending how long, quite often I used to see, well, you can do that for 5 minutes or whatever when you've done whatever I wanted them to do. And then we used to use that song as a timing for them, because but not only do they, when it finishes, they know it's over, but they know the song, so they have a perception of where they are on that time scale, so it's quite useful. Elmo on YouTube. Right. I don't know who Elmo is, so I'm just going to sort of say, And can I just emphasise as well, I will get all the stuff, this fantastic ideas from the chat pane, and we will circulate those around. Dates to plan journey, key dates along the way, fantastic, yes, brilliant. Right, I've actually included scheduling on the next one. That's my local bus stop. I just thought I'd on Google Street View. And again, I think I don't need to give you these ideas. You've got them. Brushy brush from Sesame Street. I'm learning here. I feel very old now. My children are grown up. I'm on the grandchildren stage now. Right, next page. Area. Alison, do you want to do that?
Yeah. Again, we were just. I mean, the pizza chart on the right, I think, is just a lovely example of another way of measuring. And this was the data that we had about the most popular, and I think it was pepperoni, wasn't it, that won hands down, really. And again, I guess we've all heard, you know, so many football pitches or so many Wales, country Wales, as a form of comparison, because very often areas are a really hard thing to get your head round. So finding some of those alternatives of how you might give people a real sense of the size of something using all sorts of other things. So pizza boxes, how many CD cases, you could get your students all lying down to cover the ground. You might need to consider some of your health and safety and privacy and dignity issues. Do be careful what you suggest or what students suggest, and make sure that you think it's manageable and safe. But there are potentially lots and lots of fun ways that don't involve that very accurate measurement, but actually do give people a real sense of the space in which they're working. So
we've got issues about.
Yes, you're right. Pizza boxes are non-standard. Yes. CD boxes are more consistent. But of course, I guess one of the learning things that you would get out of your pizza boxes being non-consistent is that it might take 12 pizza boxes of one size to cover an area and only 8 of the larger sizes. So therefore, why does it make sense for us actually at the end to use a consistent measure? And I think in lots of the things that you can do where, you know, lots of tall people lying down will fill the space more quickly than lots of short people lying down. And that will help students to understand why ultimately we've ended up with a set of acceptable standard measures, so that, you know, a metre is a metre is a metre. But nevertheless, there are other ways of thinking about it that make it perhaps a little bit more accessible.
I think that's great. And convert the flexibility to coinage. There's lots of brilliant ideas here. So thank you. Right, I'll just move on. So this year's competition Get your students to think, and we do want this to be collaborative with your students, of ways of measuring something within their learning or their work environment. Make some comparisons, different pizza boxes, different people covering an area. Use different items to make your measurements in wherever your area of work happens to be. I've just put some ideas in there, and I know you will all come up with great ideas. I know we have quite a wide range of areas of achievement that people are teaching in here. I think we've got GCSE as well as from pre-entry, entry level and level 1 and 2. So really it's your choice, and make it relevant for your students. So if you've got pre-entry students, perhaps you need to be thinking about those maths words we talked about right at the beginning, about bigger, smaller, big, bigger, biggest. That's a good one. So really it's your competition to do as creatively as you can. Do you want to add anything to that, Alison?
No, other than to say, if there are a number of groups in the college, please do enter the competition with more than one group of students. So you might have some who are working at that GCSE level and may be able to do some quite sophisticated research on something like the source of, why we use the measurements that we do, and do quite a big piece of work about measuring the area of a room that they're working in, and another group of students who will do something at that other end of the scale where they are just looking at basic sizes. So you're not limited to one entry as long as it's with different groups of students.
I'm intrigued to know what Judith measures in eggs.
I know.
Well, yes, exactly. Perhaps Judith will tell us.
Well, I suppose
I think that's a really good point, actually, Alison.
But I was just thinking about eggs. I mean, everybody knows what the size of an egg box is, and there are 6 things in there. So I suppose you could use that in some way. I don't know if that's what it's. Oh, sorting by size, right? Oh, here we come. We've got an explanation.
Oh, right. Okay. And also what Alison just said about, we did get 2 or 3 entries from some colleges last year, so please do, particularly if your learners are working at different levels, or even different groups want to do different, if different groups want to do different ideas, by all means, please do. Oh, I went over too many there.
It is always exciting to use eggs. Thank you. Oh dear. Okay, we're going to go into.
I suppose we are heading towards. We're into Lent.
Let me just say, last year we did quite a lot of maths jokes, and we haven't really done any maths jokes this year, but we do have a lot of egg jokes coming through. And we might just share with you, particularly if you weren't involved last year, we will put some of our maths jokes up for you because they're great fun. Sorry, Lisa, that was a little aside, but I was just looking at the egg jokes.
They were actually. Well, we're on the lead up to Easter, aren't we?
Oh dear.
Can I just go back to, just to remind you of the preparation? I know we don't need to tell you these, but we just thought we'd put them in anyway. They would be really good if you did link them to the preparation for adulthood, and there's 4 themes there, and again, your choice, your student's choice. How are you going to do this? That was really a sort of a prompt. Now, on here was, what are you going to do? Well, whatever it is your students and you decide to do, please evidence it. Of course, we have to evidence it, because obviously it didn't happen if you don't evidence it. So, obvious things: take photos, take some videos, make videos, pull your photos together and make a video. Get a commentary from your students, get an audio commentary write a report. Now you may think, well, my students can't write reports. Can I just point out that Google Docs now has a voice typing option, so you can just use a microphone and speak and you will get the text. Anybody using iPads, you may have noticed on the iPad keyboard to the left of the space bar is a little microphone icon. So on there, click the microphone icon and you can actually dictate on there. So you might find that quite amusing to do that. Have a try with those. Share whatever it is you choose to do. Create a presentation. It is definitely your student's choice and in your or their environment. Please be creative, and if you haven't noticed already, this is going to be, please use the hashtag. This is the only way we can, we can sort of collate all these. Okay, so if you use the hashtag Leap into Maths, it means we can find. It's great that somebody is, who's using the whiteboard tools? Is that you, Alison?
No, it's not. Thank you. Somebody scribbled all over there.
Right. Yes. Sorry, I should have disabled the whiteboard here. But anyway, there you go. There are a lot of features in here which you could use. So there's your evidence. And entering the competition. So these are the sort of things we're going to be looking for. Student involvement in the ideas. Using more than one method of measurement.
Can I just
technology to support you? Yes, of course.
Sorry, can I just say, in terms of using more than one method of measurement, it's probably helpful to have at least one conventional method of measuring, and then however many alternative methods of measuring you like, just so that you do that bit of work with students that says the difference between the consistent measure and alternative forms of measurement.
So, okay, somebody just clicked something. Could you possibly unclick it, whatever it is?
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
There we go. Well, we'll go back to that. Don't know what's happened there. Right, it's great, isn't it? You get new people. I've never had that happen ever before. Okay, this chap here is the Chief Executive of National Numeracy, and Alison, we're going to invite him, aren't we, to do the judging?
Indeed. Yes, we thought it would be nice to have someone from outside, and when I mentioned to him, I met him recently in something completely different, I mentioned that we were doing this, he was very interested in it, and we know that they are keen, although a lot of the work they do is about pushing higher levels of numeracy, they are really keen to think about ways in which students with learning difficulties and disabilities can really up their math skills too. So I'm hoping that he will respond positively to that. And there will be two prizes.
Brilliant.
Two prizes
yes.
of smallish weather stations. Yes, we're not going to be able to.
Get excited.
Yeah, yes, but we just thought that was quite a fun thing, and that was really due to, as you can tell, Lisa's complete obsession with the weather, which is why she asked you all when you joined in to tell her what the weather was like.
I do have a slight weather obsession. I do. It's better than many other things.
Indeed.
I have a weather station, and I check the temperature every day. It is really sad, isn't it? Okay, we've gone past 1 o'clock. So again, sharing and celebrating. There may well be a lot of you who do not want to use social media for your students' work. We completely understand this. However, what you can do is send it to me at that email address. And you can send me photos, videos, audio, links to other content or whatever. And we can then enter that into the competition as well. Right. Oh, the Isle of Wight's obviously nicer than here. It's colder here. We are actually investigating the use of Slack, Dave, so thank you very much on that. But probably not for this.
Well, I don't understand that, but anyway, don't tell me now.
No, well, never mind. So, I will just finish on there. Oh, I don't need to put that, do I? Use the chat pane to make suggestions and questions. The webinar will be available on the DISC side. It's Friday lunchtime now. It is almost certainly will not be available until next week. It does take a while to get for the website to process it. And there will be an email available when it's ready. I will email round the chat pane and some of the ideas on there because it's been fantastic. Thank you very much. We did promise less than 40 minutes. If you have any other ideas, you want any questions, you want to know a little bit more, those are my contact details. That's my Twitter in the middle of my phone. Sorry, I just read that comment, Dave. Yes, a good book on probability. It might be in a bookshop near you. What does it in Hitchhiker's Guide, The Infinite Probability Drive? I'm glad you've been inspired, Samantha. We did some workshops last year, and I know some people got very inspired with those. So please do. If you want to carry on putting ideas in the chat pane, please do. I'm going to turn my mic off now, because I think me talking for over half an hour is more than enough. Do you want to say anything? I shall say farewell and thank you very much. Alison, do you just want to say goodbye?
And I'll say the same, but I think it's brilliant that so many fantastic ideas have already come through, and I hope that we'll have some really fun, exciting, but also really helpful to our students as a result of the week. So I guess in between that there's half term. Have a great half term, and we look forward to receiving your competition entries. Thanks very much. Bye bye.
Brilliant. I know I said I'd finish, but I just need to reply to Stu. Stu, I think you're quite right. Thank you so much for putting that. We'd like to do more of these. The whole point of this is actually to make maths more, get people talking about it and make it more visible and there for everybody. So I shall stop now. Thanks everybody.
Lisa, there was just one question which I think is really important, and we will try and make sure it's added in. When does the competition close? Entries need to be in by the Friday at the end of Maths Week, which I'm guessing is 4th of March.
4th of March, yeah.
Okay, I'll turn the recording off now, shall I?